Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list is about a week early. This list was inspired by Chris Padrich, who suggested that for St. Patrick's Day, I do the top 10 green notes, top 10 different types of green that you see on our currency. And I thought that was a great idea. The problem was, could I come up with 10? Well, you know me. Once I start, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna find it, and I did. So I know this is about a week early for St. Patrick's Day, but it's also about 2 weeks after the first St. Patrick's Day decorations have appeared in my house. So I can film this video and I can most certainly post it. All right. So the top 10 green notes. Here we go. Number 10. I have this up here just for an example, because number 10 is our current dollar. Yes. The current dollar, of course, has the Federal Reserve seal right here that is most certainly green. Definitely have to count this because it's definitely the green note that we see the most often. Now, the Federal Reserve seal has always, well, no, I shouldn't say that. They did use red and blue in the large size notes for the very first grouping. But once we went to the small size notes, Federal Reserve notes have always been green. So you'd always see the green seal like that. So that is number 10 on my list, the Federal Reserve green seal in your pocket right now. Number 9. The back of the current bill that you are used to holding. This is a different type of green, which is why I pulled out this note here. I wanted to pull out one of the notes that had the inking error on the back, but those are still out being graded right now. But as you can see, in fact, this note is all ready, so I will gladly fold it in half. Definitely two different types of green. So yeah, you have green ink on the front and a separate green ink on the back of the note. Most people always just assume it's the same, but it's not. They are definitely two separate colors of ink. And this is actually a proprietary color. You cannot buy this color. You can try to color match it yourself, of course, but you cannot buy this color. It is, like I said, proprietary and only for the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. So that's kind of a neat little side note. But anyway, number 10 is the front and number 9 would be the back. So we will put number 10 there. We will put 9 there. All right, and that's all I got for you guys this week. So if you enjoy... No, I'm kidding. Of course, I've got more. I just had to get a little more creative. So 10, 9, number 8 on the list. Number 8, I call this color or this particular shade of green Ikea green. What is Ikea green? Well, have you ever shopped at an Ikea? At an Ikea, everything comes in a little box, and all you got to do is put it together yourself. Yes, yes. This is my Ikea green note. It is a $10 North Africa note. Why do I call it Ikea green? Because it comes with the blue and the yellow, and if you put those two together, you get green. You do it yourself. My $10 Ikea green note. This is 1934A, North Africa emergency currency. This was my struggle. This was the tough one to get. All the rest of them are definitely going to be green. That's number 8 on the list. Number 7. Number 7, I went with, this is a 1934 $20, sorry, 1934 $20 green. This is considered the light green. It's kind of an olive green. This is what some would call the lime green seal. You can see that it does have that olive green look to it. This was the 1934 version of this particular seal. It is, of course, different from the back, which is very similar to what we're using today. But the lime green or olive green note from 1934, this is definitely one of its own separate colors. These are quite popular, even though they're actually more common than the darker green. These are the ones that everybody likes to have because it is such a different color. So that is number 8, right? 10, 9, 8. Nope, number 7 on the list. Number 6, just to show the difference, this is a 1934 dark green. 1934 dark green compared to the 1934 light green. You can definitely see that there's a difference. This particular one isn't the most what would you call it? The most detailed imprint of this color. It does have, this particular one is faded just a little bit. That's what I'm trying to spit out. So it doesn't look quite as dark, but in comparison, you can see it is definitely two separate shades of green. This one is the 1934 dark, and this is the 1934 light or olive or lime green, however you want to put that. So that is next, 8, 7, number 6 on the list. Number 5, let's back it up a little bit more. This is the series of 1928. This one's a 1928B, and they have the very dark green seal. Very dark green seal. Of course, it's a different shade than what we're used to seeing on the back. Very dark, and this particular one has a very good print. Once again, let's compare this green to the green on the 34. Definitely two separate shades of green on that particular seal. And if I can somehow possibly get all three of these in here, 3 separate shades of green. 28 light green, 28 dark green, 28 dark green here, 34 dark green, and 28 light green. That is really interesting seeing them side by side like that. I don't know if there's a better way to do that, but it is pretty difficult to see all those in one shot just because of the borders. So that's number 5. Number 4 on the list is the last one in the set. This particular one is, you can see the 1928 light green seal. Now you may think the 1928 light green seal is the same as the light green of the 34, but there is a difference. This, like I said, has more of an olive color, and this is just a rather lighter green compared to the darker greens. But this clearly has the olive color, and this clearly does not. Trying to put these as close as possible so you can see the color difference. I hope that shows up really well on the camera like that. So these are the two light greens, both of these 1934, 1928. So you can see how those are different from each other. And if we were to put the 28, oh, got it backwards, there we go. The 28 and the 34s here, so now everything should match up. There is all 4 different shades of green. And I think that shows up pretty good on camera. You can definitely see there are 4 different shades like that. So yeah, when it comes to collecting the different shades of currency, this is typically what you're going to see. And yeah, these would all be, of course, interchangeable on this particular list. It's just cool to see all 4 of them side by side by side by side. Or side by each, as some of us will say in Wisconsin. Anyway, that's number 4 on the list. Number 3. Number 3, I backed it up quite a ways. I went with my 1869 fractional specimen note, because the fractional specimen note also used an extremely dark color green. And it was dark enough that it actually would go through the note there. So this is an extremely dark shade of green in comparison to the darkest shade I've got here. It's similar, but not quite the same, even if we check the back. You can see how the 20 is brighter, where this is a much, much darker shade. So that is what is this one? Between 1864 and 1869, somewhere around there, for the specimen note of the fractional currency. This one here would be the backside of the 25-cent currency. And I bring this out because they did do them in red as well. So having them in green was actually, it was a bigger deal than just having them in red or green. Anyway, that is number 3 on the list. Number 2. Speaking of fractionals, here's the spinner note. Now, I remember this spinner note having these green masses on here, and I don't know if it's just my note that's just ridiculously over inked. I don't know if it was damage to the note. It could very well just be damage that caused the ink to smear, but I was never quite able to make out what these particular stamps are. And I'm pretty sure that's just damage on the note causing the ink to smear a little bit like that. I don't really see this as an error. It does have green on the back as well, but this is what I was thinking of when I put together the green, these huge green spots that are on the front of this particular note. Now, I know they didn't take a whole lot of care in making these notes, so it never struck me as this being an error. Like I said, just a poorly printed note. And of course, this being the Spinner note, Spinner, the guy pictured on this note, is the guy who came up with the idea, and this fancy signature here, that's actually his signature, and he was always very bold with his loop, because there's the loop right there coming from the previous note. So that is number 2 on my list. Number 1 on my list, what did I choose? I chose, from 1862, I chose the original $1 note. Now, why did I choose this particular note? Well, we are all used to seeing green on the back of notes. What we are not used to seeing is green on the front of notes. Now, they did not use green as the seal. You can clearly see they used a red seal on this particular note. But they still used green in the background for the 1, and they used green in the background for the signatures, to make the signatures that much harder to fake. So they did use that as kind of an anti-counterfeiting measure. The green background there, the green here, and of course you have this infamous green circle. This one highlights the 1 because this is the $1 denomination. They also had the 2, and on the $2 note, the 2 is highlighted. They never made a 3, so you never get a note with a 3, but it looks like they were prepared to do it just in case. Anyway, this is number 1 on my list when it comes to green on notes. One of the very few notes you are actually going to find that has green on the front of the note when it is not part of a seal. All right, guys, those are my top 10 green notes for St. Patrick's Day. I want to thank Chris Padrich for coming up with this idea. And I know I'm putting it out a week early, but I've got a series of a few videos that I wanted to keep together, so I figured I'll put this one out 1 week early, and that way I can keep my series together. Guys, thank you very much for watching. If you learned anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. I love reading your comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.